Welcome to today's episode of Rise and Fall. We'll be discussing Michael Vick, one of the greatest and most talented quarterbacks to ever play the game of football. Here we are at the Wallace Wade Stadium, where in the late 1990s you could have found Michael Vick demolishing the Duke Blue Devils. But his career will forever be tainted by his criminal dogfighting past. So in today's episode, we're going to dive deep into his past, his life experiences, and see what led to him having to pay $1 million in restitution fines and spending up to 2 years in prison. Stay tuned.
How could a football star making literally millions of dollars allegedly get involved in something like this?
Allegations of hanging, shooting, body slamming, even electrocuting dogs to death as part of a multi-state underground dogfighting operation. Is a record-breaking NFL superstar, a former #1 draft pick, losing a $120 million contract over dogfights?
So let's first start by diving deep into what exactly is the criminal dogfighting conviction. So in April of 2007, while serving a search warrant for a drug-related investigation of Michael Vick's cousin, Davon Bodie, law enforcement investigators discovered evidence of illegal dogfighting occurring on Vick's rural property in Virginia. Initially, Michael Vick denied any involvement in the operation, telling authorities and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell that he had nothing to do with the operation. But as evidence increased and pressure increased and interrogation got more intense, he finally admitted to his operation and his involvement in the operation. And so in July, he was indicted for illegal interstate dogfighting along with 3 others. And in August, he pled guilty in exchange for a plea bargain, admitting to 3 things. 1, that he was financing most of the dogfighting operation. 2, he participated in and made money from the dogfights. And 3, he killed 6 to 8 dogs for being underperforming. In the same month, Vick was indefinitely suspended from the NFL. In September, while out on bail, he tested positive for marijuana in a random drug test. As a result, he was placed under intense monitoring with a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew and a subjection to other random drug tests. In November, he turned himself in early to begin working towards his likely prison sentence. Finally, in December, he was sentenced to 23 months in a federal prison. Judge Henry Hudson declared that Vick's involvement was not just a momentary lack of judgment. His initial lies and denial, as well as his failed drug tests and failed polygraphs, were cited as aggravating factors in his sentencing. He was further ordered to pay $1 million in restitution towards the care of the dogs rescued from the dogfighting operation. So how did Michael Vick end up here? So to help us answer this question, we solicited some help from a criminologist expert here at Hamel headquarters at Duke University, and we also asked for some advice from a football expert here at the Yo Football Center. Follow me as we uncover the truth and get down to the bottom of this story. All right, so viewers, for our first stop, we're here at the Hamel headquarters, the Sociology department here at Duke University with India Lowe, a criminologist. And she's gonna talk to us about Vick's fall from grace and a few, theories that could attempt to explain what happened.
So first we're going to talk about Vick's childhood and where he grew up. Vick grew up in a low-income neighborhood in Newport News, Virginia, where the income there was about $36,000 per household. That's compared to $62,000 per household in the state of Virginia and $56,000 per household in the country as a whole. And besides that, in this neighborhood, most of the families did not own the homes. Most of the properties were resided in by residents who were renting. From anywhere from 50 to 100% of the residents were renters and not homeowners. And in the bigger picture, why this really matters to us, because this, along with other factors in the neighborhood, contributed to criminal behavior that could occur later in life from the people growing up there, including poverty, physical dilapidation, and low-income ownership. Sean McKay presented a theory called social disorganization, which is creates an environment in which the child does not have regular social norms and positive influence in their life, so they grow and have they're influenced by their peers around them, and they make their own norms and involved in delinquent behavior. As a result, children learn delinquent behavior from their peers as well as older youth who act as role models in their neighborhoods.
I just looked at the surroundings and everything that was around me, and I looked at where we was living, and it was a no-brainer. The first time I saw a dog fight, I was like 7 years old.
I knew several people, several friends, that if they had a pit bull, you knew at some point in time they was gonna fight it against somebody else who had a pit bull.
So what you're saying is that the environment and the community that Vick was raised in is like an environment that I guess like produces criminality, and that's like an explanation for it?
Yes, and there's actually statistics to back this fact up. The murder rate in the East End neighborhood where Vick grew up in was actually triple the national average, which was 5 for 100,000 people. But that's only half of the story. That's not the only reason why Vick was more likely to grow up as a criminal. And we can look at Sutherland's theory of differential association, which basically says that you learn from the people that you're around, and you begin to become like the people that you often associate yourself with. And so if you're associating yourself with deviant people, like we see in this neighborhood, there are a lot of criminals and the murder rate is high. If you're associated with those people, then you're more likely to be involved in deviant behavior even as a child, and then as you grow up, you're more likely to be involved in criminal behaviors and acts. More importantly, Vick continued to keep close bonds with these people even after he joined the NFL, despite what his coaches and other role models told him. 2 of his friends actually caught marijuana charges because of distributing marijuana in a car that was under his name. What this tells us is that Vick likely had a lot of interactions with deviant people, even as a child, and he continued to associate with these people into adulthood. Criminologists would describe this differential association theory and tell us that Vick learned criminal values through those interactions.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like an old saying my mom used to say, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. But could you talk a little bit more about Michael Vick after prison? Are there some theories that can predict how he will behave or how others will behave in response to him?
Yes, I would like to bring up the labeling theory. I think this will go best here, and specifically Braithwaite's theory of shaming, which incorporates 2 types of shaming, disintegrative shaming and reintegrative shaming. The first, disintegrative shaming, would most likely predict that he would continue the criminal behavior in the future, because with this type of shaming, we have stigmatization and exclusion, so he wouldn't be able to reintegrate back into the community that he once was a part of, because people would not see him as who he was before, as like the good NFL player, but they would see him because of this one act that he did with the dog fighting, and he would be labeled as this person. On the other hand, we have reintegrative shaming, which first, initially, you obviously have that disapproval from your peers in the community, but this comes with rehabilitation, and you're able to rehabilitate back into the community and maybe get, like in Michael Vick's case, go back into the NFL and play ball.
All right, India, thank you so much for your insight on this topic. We really appreciate it here at Causes of Crime Network. Tell your professor, Jennifer Hamill, I said hi. Thank you for your time. So far, we've seen a rise and fall in Michael's career, and we've spoken to a criminologist about what factors may have influenced Michael to commit the crimes that he did. But did Michael turn his life around after prison? How did the public react to Michael trying to get back on the football field again? So to dig deeper into this, we've sat down to talk with Karisha Shizeski, niece of world-renowned coach Mike Shizeski here at the Yo Football Center, a sports expert.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for sitting down with me. So I just wanted to talk about Mike's career after his imprisonment.
Yeah, of course. So once he got out of prison, he went to his former mentor, the coach for the Indianapolis Colts, Tony Dungy, so that he could get back into shape and possibly get signed to a football team again. But he really had no chance of resurrecting his career at this point. And he couldn't go back to the Canadian League because the Canadian League has a policy that once you've been suspended for any reason by the NFL, you can't play for them. And so that option was completely out. But even though there were some general managers that had the power and the position to possibly take a risk on Michael Vick, the NFL was more concerned about the public backlash that they would receive from taking him back. And so, because there's nobody who would really want someone playing for them who everyone saw as a criminal, who was labeled as someone who facilitated dogfighting operations. And so he finally got one team to take a chance on him, and these were the Philadelphia Eagles, and he signed for a one-year deal for $1.6 million with no money guarantee. And at that point, this was really the best deal he could get.
Talk about a pay cut. He was making at least $37 million in bonuses alone when he was playing for the Atlanta Falcons. Why would he accept this deal?
I never thought I would go to Philadelphia. That just happened out of nowhere. That was the biggest blessing in disguise.
Yeah. I mean, however, Michael just really wanted to get back into the league and to show that he was a changed man. And so this wasn't about money. It was more about showing people that he could change. And for many years afterwards, Michael still was a polarizing figure in football because of this. But it wasn't easy for Michael to change his image. Once people found out about the dogfighting, it really became what his public perception was. And people could only see a man who facilitated animal violence. However, Michael didn't let this stop him, and he went to a lot of efforts to change this perception. And so he's been very outspoken about animal cruelty, very outspoken against animal fighting. And did you know that in December he won the Ed Block Courage Award, which was voted by all of his teammates?
Wow, so his teammates like really accepted him as part of the team. They like didn't treat him as an outcast?
Yeah, and Michael can be even quoted saying that I was voted unanimously by my teammates. They know what I've been through. I've been through a lot. It's been great to come back, and I have an opportunity to play and be with a great group of guys. I'm just ecstatic about that, and I enjoy every day.
That's wonderful. In the past, criminologists would have said that Vick and even other criminals could not change. You know, once a criminal, always a criminal. But contemporary theorists today, however, consider that changes can occur over a life course. And Vick really has served as an example for this change. Yeah. Thank you so much, Krista, for taking the time to talk with us. We really appreciate it. The Yo is a wonderful facility, and just tell your uncle I said hi. Thank you. All right, so now we've talked to a few experts, and they've really given us some great insight on the story of Michael Vick's career. We've gotten some great theories to help explain what happened, as well as how the public has perceived him since then. And so I think like we've gotten a good little amount of information on this topic. And so just to give you like a little follow-up, Michael Vick has recently retired from the NFL, and he has still been working to improve his public image and his public perception, as you can see in this video.
He's paid as large a price as anyone could ever pay for what he did, and he'd probably be the first one to tell you that he deserved to pay that price.
Guys, made a horrible mistake, and now I want to be part of the solution and not the problem.
Oh, is he something? Oh, is he something? Touchdown, Mike Vick! Oh!
All right, there you have it, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Rise and Fall here at the Causes of Crime Network. Can't wait to see you next week.